Frankie Hansbearry's work is figurative and speaks of human nature. Although animals and plants are also used to tell her stories, her work can be humorous, contemplative, revealing, or infused with spirit. The natural world is her muse, and folk art traditions, ancient artifacts, and modern art interpretations of the human form are some concepts that she finds evocative. Hello, Frankie.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm kind of excited.
Good. Good. Look at your background. This is incredible.
That's kind of the busyness back there, isn't it? There's a
It,
lot of creatures.
it is. I love this. So,
Thank you.
so talk to me a little bit. I mean, how have things been so far for you? Has your, I know I've talked to you a little bit about your work before, and we've worked on some projects at Verge, and so I'm just curious, what is your process like right now? How are you moving through your studio?
For me, during this period of time, because we're getting ready for the tour, that kind of lit a fire under my tail to really start in a sort of a production mode. So I've spent the past 3 or 4 months building, then glazing, and putting pieces together to get ready for this. And it's a little bit different than it has been in the past, so of course, because we're not doing the physical setup that we normally do to get ready for this show. And there's been a lot of other types of information going virtual that has that's really tested me.
I noticed everybody, I mean, it's also been really inspiring for us to watch the way that people have risen to the occasion. It's like we wanted to make sure there was continuity for the program this year. And actually, for me, it's been exciting because watching the interviews, conducting the interviews, I've been learning things about the participating artists that I don't think a lot of people would have known had we not had those conversations.
Exactly. It's kind of given me the opportunity to tune in and learn more about some of the artists that are participating that I don't normally get to see because I'm too busy getting ready for this.
Well, and also if you visited someone's studio, you wouldn't ask them the involved questions we've been asking each other in these interviews. You'd look at their work and you might have a question about a specific thing, but for instance, the next question I'm going to ask you is, you're talking about doing all this building and glazing and getting ready for open studios. What does your process typically look like? What does a day in your studio look like?
A day in my studio usually looks like organizing the space. My studio is pretty small. It's a converted single car garage. And so pretty much every available space either has materials, supplies, work in progress, completed work that needs to be repaired. So when I come out here, I need to be pretty organized if I'm going to work. I really need to kind of clear off some space so I can work on one piece immediately. And there's usually a couple pieces in the queue that I'm working on because ceramics, you work in stages.
Right.
So some people work really well in chaos, but I tend to work better when I have space and I'm organized so I can really get to the piece. But there's a lot of stuff in here. It normally doesn't look like this. There's usually a big slab roller and there's all kinds of stuff piled up. I just shoved it to the other side of the room.
Well, and so are you, like, when you sit down to make a piece, is it because you have the content, like an idea comes to you, you sit down and you start, formulating the figure that you're going to create? Or is it something that's kind of more of a walk in the woods and things just sort of come to you? Like, what does that look like?
As you can probably tell, I make a lot of animals, and the dog seems to be my vehicle oftentimes for telling a story, because my stories are usually about human nature. And the stories usually talk about human nature all the way from angelic to diabolic and everything in between. And I often use humor to convey that story. But for instance, if I were going to work on a dog, maybe I consult my dog book. So I look at the dog book and look at these different breeds, and I think I've chosen the dog as a vehicle because there are so many infinite varieties to choose from. You
Yeah.
just don't, I'm going to get too bored with it. But I might choose a particular dog and sit down with a slab and begin to work on it, not really knowing where it's going to go. Sometimes I might have an idea, but oftentimes I don't. I'll just work with trying to capture some sort of aspect of that animal. And I don't work realistically. So I borrow little things from that animal that might make it recognizable to people. But as I work and proceed and the face starts to develop, sometimes it tells me a story. I might fool around with it, you know, as far as the shape of the eyes, and if the mouth is open or closed or sideways, whether it has teeth or no teeth or something. And at a certain point, that figure starts to develop a character. And because it's a process, a lot of stories are going on in my mind about what that could be. And sometimes that story will come to me very quickly, and I'll know what that body is going to be doing as I develop the piece. So it's almost as if the character is revealed while I'm working.
I was going to say, it almost sounds like a conjuring process or something, you know? It's like you're sort of summoning these characters into your space, which is a really cool concept to be thinking about, you know?
It can be. It might be frightening for some people, but I usually like them whether they're likable or not.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. And then, so if you have all these, I mean, it seems in a weird way, it's like a sculptural version of writers. You know how that, like, you know, I've heard writers, they'll start doing this character development and they'll work on a couple different threads at the same time. So,
Right.
you know, you're doing something akin to that, but in a sculptural form. So you have, you know, these developing characters that are happening in your space. So as you're working on these, you know, you'll have multiple of them in different stages of completion. So you have to kind of, you know, familiarize yourself again as you go around, or is it just something that you're carrying in your head until that constellation of objects is finished?
It's up here. And sometimes it won't leave me alone. You know, I'll wake up and maybe there's some other part of that story that I think of. It's like, oh yeah, that's what's happening here, but it needs this prop. It needs this other component to it to make it be recognizable to another person. That's what the story is. And then sometimes a title will inform me as part of the development. When I was working on a cat, I just started musing as I was working, and the word cat. What's another word that has cat? Oh, catastrophic, catapult. What is this one called over here? Catatonic. So that when I heard the word in my head, catatonic, I said, I know what this cat is. I know what the character of this cat is now. It's just completely out of it. So words sometimes help me develop this story.
How do you know when one of them is finished?
How do I know when they're finished?
Yeah.
I don't know. There are times when I think something's finished and then I look at it later and I go, this needs something else.
Yeah.
So I have to build another part for it. So I don't know. I guess it's an intuitive thing. Sometimes when I work on a piece so long, then I just say, I am done with this piece.
Because you just don't want to look at it anymore.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Well, and you're also, so it's not just three-dimensional work that you are making. You also sing, from what I understand.
For God's sakes. Yeah, well, don't we all sometimes?
So do you have a Sack Open Studios song?
Right now, a Sack Open Studio song?
Yeah, there's a, Justina mentioned to me that there's a song about Sack Open Studios that she saw on Facebook.
Oh, yes, I did do a little ditty. Trying, you know, just trying to capture people's attention. People probably is like, what? I think it did it though.
I love it.
Thank you.
I mean, this is what you got to do. This is part of, I think everybody's kind of coming around to it in different ways, but I just think that this is part of transitioning into this different platform we're on.
Yes, I think it kind of, I probably would not have done that otherwise. And actually learned how to do a slideshow with this app on my phone I didn't even know was there called Clip. I can't
Oh,
believe it.
I haven't heard of that either. So that's actually pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I can't believe it. I'm not a technological person.
Yeah, but you're becoming one, as we all are, to the extent that we need to be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
not like it's the thing that's nice about what we're doing right now is that you can be fairly well connected without a huge amount of savviness. I mean, you need to get yourself up to speed, obviously, but like with Zoom and Facebook and things, it's not like there's things you can do now that even 6 or 7 years ago would have been a huge undertaking. So fortunately, these platforms are available to us right now when we can't be together.
right. And just when you think you have it down, something else happens.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, 2020 is, whew, we're going to be survivors at the end of this thing.
Right. Thanks. Yeah.
uh, well, and I have to say, it's nice to look at your work and talk to you about your work. And I know a lot of people have been telling me that they've been enjoying these interviews because they're a real respite from all of the heavy conversations that are happening right now.
Yes.
And I think having said all of that, how can people connect with your work? Like if are you going to be going live this afternoon?
Yes, I'm going to be going live. I've been having a little bit of difficulty with it cutting out after 40 minutes, so I'm going to say that I'm going to go on the hour, starting at 1, go as far as I can. Something happens, then 2 o'clock, I'll start up again, and 3. So I'll do the best I can. I'll be here in the studio. This is the best way to contact me. All the information is there on my website. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
How to contact me, the current work, past work, if you want to know anything else, if you want to sign up for a newsletter, everything's here.
And they can figure out, like, do you have work for sale there as well? So if somebody wants to buy something, they can take a look and.
Yes, and everything is listed there under available work.
Oh, good.
Yes, and I figured out a way to not have to come into contact with people to do that, and we've been doing porch pickups.
Oh, that's great. It's
Yeah.
funny, I have talked to a couple people in the last week or so who've been watching these interviews, and we were also talking about the upcoming Verge art auction. And they were just saying that, because of the isolation that we're all living through, collecting art, looking at art is something that gives them joy right now because it's a connection. It's a way that you can support somebody in the community, and you can also do something that, makes you feel like you're still kind of part of something, like a bigger whole. And
Oh,
I
right.
thought about it and I was like, it's true. Like I really do think that, right now, I think it's one of the reasons people have been liking these interviews, because being reminded who's in your community and that even though we're alone, we still have each other. It's a really nice, it's been one of the things about all of this that I've found very comforting and encouraging.
Same, so have I. And I just want to thank all of you at Verge Center for the Arts for the incredible job you've done of pulling this together. It's enormous. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Frankie. I really am so happy that you participated.
Thank
Yeah, this has been so great. I've enjoyed talking to everybody. I've been having a good time watching the interviews. This has been really, really cool. So, I don't know if you have anything. We were going to give this a couple more minutes just because we got started a minute or two late. Is there anything else that I didn't cover that you want to make sure people know?
Oh gosh, about me. Don't you have any questions in that queue? Off the top of like,
Oh, I have questions. Actually, I do have a question that is something I haven't asked some of the other artists, and because we just ran out of time. But who's inspired you? Like, what is it that is this all an invention out of your head, or is there things that you look at that keep you going artistically? Like, what are you looking at?
As far as inspiration, I think it started when I was very young. I grew up in a place that was sort of devoid of culture, but my mother had National Geographic magazines, and I would pore over those articles about indigenous culture, you know, people from New Guinea with things in their nose and face paint, and it opened up, literally, it opened up the concept that there is something outside of Rio Linda, California that's quite different. And that stayed with me. Indigenous culture, folk art, ancient art, all those raw kind of people that live close to the earth. I mean, I just love that rawness and how it's not representational. That has kind of informed what I do, and it's sort of an undercurrent of something that really it really makes my heart, you know, pitter patter. It gets me excited. So
I think that's really great advice and information to end this on, is that, you know, all of us need to just keep reminding ourselves that there's a bigger world out there, you know?
yeah, a very big world that we hope will be much better soon.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, Frankie. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to watching you go live later this afternoon.
Okay, I hope I'll be there, but if I don't, check back later.
I will.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Frankie.
Bye.